Okay, so we're gonna do some work that just gives us a little bit of groundedness and helps to kind of open up the shoulders. So first of all, just prepare your space. Give yourself a little extra cushioning than your yoga mat on its own. And this is all about just making your space suitable for relaxation. It's almost like we're kind of emulating the conditions of bed. So a big kind of soft blanket or a towel just gives you that extra softness. Have a bolster underneath your knees. If you haven't got a bolster, then just use a rolled up blanket or some cushions, and then have a couple of blocks for your head, and then a folded blanket for your head. Now the kind of main criteria with restorative yoga is that the room that you're in is warm and quite dark, and it's quiet. So obviously I won't talk too much so I don't kind of disturb the quietness. I'll talk us into the poses, but then we'll release. Then we'll release into silence. You might want a blanket because obviously the weather's been quite cold today. So if you need a blanket, just have it. Don't be cold. Don't allow yourself to be cold. Also, if you've got something to cover your eyes with, so I've got one of these lavender eye pillows, which are really nice. It sits over your eyes and creates darkness, but also a little release in the eyes because there's some weight on the eyes. So just come down onto your back for our basic relaxation pose. Don't be in a rush to get into your final position. Just allow yourself to just feel where you are. Just enjoy the sensation of suddenly releasing into the floor. Just enjoy that sensation in the spine where all of a sudden spine is supported by the straight line of the floor. So I always find that the first time you lay back into the floor after a long, tiring day just makes the whole practice worth it. Just allowing yourself that gorgeous sense of release. If after a few moments you realize that you're not wholly comfortable, then just adjust. We don't work with the same level of physical precision in restorative yoga as we do in other types of yoga. This form of yoga is entirely reliant on comfort. So just find your comfort. Cover your eyes if you can. To create some darkness. And then allow your body to release into the floor. Listen to the sound of your breath and focus on exhalations, allowing your tension to release with the exhalation. So exhale until the lungs are empty. Followed by normal inhalations and exhalations until the lungs feel empty. At the end of the out breath, just suspend the exhalation at the end of the out breath, just for a second or two, and then follow that with an inhalation. So just hold the breath at the end of the out breath, just very momentarily for a couple of seconds at the most. And that helps you to purge your stress, to release tension and stress. Mentally scan the body for areas of discomfort or resistance. Focus on exhalations so that the body and the mind releases tension and anxiety. Just hold the breath at the end of the out breath, that post-exhalative retention, very briefly, purging the body of anxiety and stress. Don't hold that retention for too long, just very briefly, a couple of seconds at the most. Unhook the muscles of the arms and of the legs, allowing the physical body to release into the floor. At the same time as focusing on exhalations, allow the body to gather the energy of the environment by drawing in the in-breath. Draw your attention into the soles of your feet. So the soles of your feet are tingling a little. your attention into the soles of the feet so that the skin begins to tingle with awareness. Draw your attention into the soles of the feet and then consciously relax the skin and the muscle and the flesh and the bones. Draw your attention to the tops of your feet. Draw your attention to the tops of your feet and then relax the skin and the flesh and the muscle and the bone of the tops of the feet. Draw your attention into the shins. Draw your attention into the shins and consciously relax your shins by allowing the shins to sink into the bed of the calf muscle. Draw your attention into your thighs. And then allow the skin and the flesh and the muscle to completely relax into the floor. Relaxing the thighs, relaxing the muscle, allowing the fronts of the thighs to sink into the backs of the thighs. And then drawing your attention into the abdomen and your rib cage. Draw your attention into your torso and allow the torso to completely let go. To release the torso into the floor. Draw your attention into your arms. Allowing muscles of the arms to unhook the arms, allowing the arms to become heavy on the floor. The upper arms to the lower arms, to the fingertips. Relaxing your arms into the floor. Draw your attention into the throat. Allow the neck to soften. The muscles around the neck, the skin around the neck to release. And then allow the eyes to soften, the sockets and the cheekbones to soften. And then draw the skin face down from the crown of the head towards the forehead and the ears and the backs of the neck. Soften the muscles of the face, into the jaw of the inner ear. Basking in this feeling of release, quietness. Just enjoying this time of quietness and lack of demand on your time. Enjoying this feeling of no demand, just indulging in feeling of lightness that flows throughout the body. Just observe how the body fills up with that feeling of energetic lightness. Okay, when you're ready to disturb yourself, just gently wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, and then bend your knees. Rest your feet on the bolster. Stay with your feet on the bolster, your back on the floor. And then very gently just roll over onto your right side. And then stretch out your top leg and then come back up into just cross legs. Just hold onto your knees, just observe as you sit up, just how your energy has changed just by simply letting the body relax. So stay with your bolster from underneath your knees. You can move the blocks from underneath your feet and then unfold your blanket. So you've got this kind of this quarter fold. Put it along your mat and then fold it down the center. And then down the center again. So you've got a nice cushioning action and a long little mini bolster. So this is going to be for our spinal lengthening pose. This is lovely, especially for kind of lifting your energy. So have the bolster, so it's going to go underneath your knees. You might want to experiment with where you put the bolster underneath your knees, and then just guide yourself down along the length of the blanket. Get hold of the end of the blanket and then roll it up to create a little cushion for your head. So you don't want the end of the blanket to kind of really dig into your sacrum spine. So you might have to come in and out of the pose a few times just to kind of get yourself into position. And again, remember you can put a blanket over yourself if you need to keep yourself warm. Cover your eyes again. And then just release your arms to the sides of the body. Try moving the bolster to the tops of the backs of the thighs. Just rest in there for a moment or two. And then just draw that bolster down so that it's just in the backs of the calves, just in the back of the knees, letting the feet just hover a little. And then just notice whether there's that feeling of elongation along the blanket, lengthening out your spine. So as we progress into the practice, I'll speak less and less, just so that you can indulge in the silence. So you're not constantly listening, you're just experiencing the pose. Breathing evenly and deeply, with emphasis on inhalations, filling the lungs from the bottom to the top, and emphasis on exhalations, emptying the lungs from the top to the bottom. And then when you're ready to disturb yourself, just gently wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers. Again, bend your knees, bring your feet onto the bolster. And then just roll onto your right side for a moment, just rolling off the rolled up blanket. And then sit yourself up into the cross-legged position again. Just observe changes in your energy after each stay. And then just unfold your blanket and then just bring it into your kind of typical fold that you would use for your head. So it's like this. And then you might want to fold it down the middle again. So you've got quite a chunky blanket for your head, for underneath your armpit. If you've got one of these oblong bolsters, that will be really good for this. If you don't have an oblong bolster, then your tubular bolster might be a little bit too kind of substantial, and it might be a bit uncomfortable. So you might want to use your blanket folded up double, and then have a block for your head. You're just going to come onto your side and then lengthen out the side ribs as you come down with the blanket in the armpit chest. Bring the bolster onto the floor. So bring the shoulder onto the floor. Just let this arm rest in a little right angle and then extend your arm over your head. So you can fold your blanket up or use your oblong bolster if you have one. So you lengthen along the floor. Just make sure that you have the shoulder, the shoulder that's on the floor. Make sure that it's supported by the floor. That arm is in a little right angle, and then just stretch the upper arm over the ear, and then release into the floor. So you immediately get this big stretch in the upper facing ribs. This pose, this supported side stretch, is really good for stiff shoulders and stiff neck. You can always put a block underneath your hand if the arm doesn't reach the floor comfortably. Otherwise, just rest into the floor with the bolster in side ribs in the armpit chest. Remember, you can cover yourself over with a blanket if you're cold. If there's stiffness and resistance in your shoulders, then it might take a little while to relax into the pose. And then when you're ready, just bring that top arm just to rest on your side. Push your elbow into the floor. And then just sit yourself up. Again, just come into cross legs. Just observe your energy. And then just come over onto the other side. So just onto your other hip. Lengthen the chest along the bolster. Bring the shoulder down onto the floor. Rest your head on the block. And then extend the top arm over your ear. Remember that comfort is the priority. So just if it doesn't feel right. top arm back to the side of the body. Push your elbow into the floor and then come back into cross legs. Just again, just observe your energy. And then we're going to come into our restorative surfboard pose. So have your bolster long ways. If you've got another bolster or a folded blanket, you can put that underneath your shins, and then have a block at the top of your for your head, and then get your blanket and put the blanket over the top of the block. So you're going to come down, Ruth. If you don't want to kind of rest on your front, you can just come onto your back and come into up to Baddha Konasana shape without the just to kind of give you like, so you're not like resting on your front. Otherwise, just have the little bolster underneath your shins, and then lay yourself down along your bolster so that your head is free of the bolster. Rest your forehead on the block, and then just rest your arms on the floor with the elbows bent, but don't support your body with your arms. Just use the bolster, allow the body to drape over the bolster. Resting into the bolster. Just acknowledge the connection to the ground. While your energy draws into the ground but rises up out of the ground at the same time. How your energy is part of your breath, how your breath is part of your energy. This pose releases tension from the shoulders and from the neck. You can breathe into the upper back with an inhalation and then release. And breathe into the middle of the back, across the back, from the spine horizontally out to the ribs, and then release, and then down. Breathe into the lower back and into the hips. Just cycle around the top of the back, the middle of the back, the lower back. Okay, bring your hand, if you're in restorative surfboard, bring your hands on underneath your shoulders, push yourself up into a seated position. If you're on your back, just draw your knees towards each other and then just sit yourself up, and then come back into cross legs. So just sitting with the legs in cross legs, bring the hands into Namaste. Draw your breath in through your nose and down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice. A good, positive feeling of energetic lightness that comes from gentle, long held poses. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you've created inside. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. And as you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus of your eyes to softly come back. Thank you very much. Thank you. So hopefully you feel as though you've just loosened up your shoulders and your neck a little and just released and opened up your energy so that you've got good energy for the rest of your evening, and you'll sleep well later on as well. So thank you very much for joining me.